Yo, 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 what's happening, people? It's your boy Michael Griggs, and I'm back. I know it's been a minute, and I'm sorry about that, but just never had the inspiration to record towards the last part of the season. But it's a new season now. Prem started on Friday. Man United kicked off their season today. And yeah, we're back with the match reactions, and I promise to do one for every single game and other stuff as well. But yeah, Man United won, Wolves nil. That was one of the worst games you could probably watch. That was the worst first half performance from a team I saw this past weekend, but we did get the 3 points in the end, and that's what matters. You start the season as with the 3 points, and that's what matters most importantly for Man United. And that's what we did. Like I said, it was ugly, and I'll talk about the first half first. Obviously, I had high expectations going into this game. I predicted on other streams, on other channels, 3-0, 4-0, because I think Wolves are one of the worst teams in the league. But I might actually have to change my tune on that because looking at their starting 11 compared to some of the other bottom half teams that I saw this past weekend, Everton, Sheffield, Luton, even other teams like Burnley and stuff, I think Wolves actually are a better team than them, so I'll have to give them much more credit than I did. But I expected a big game, a good performance from most of the players of the team, and that's not what we got. But like I said, we did get the 3 points. And yeah, when the match started, it didn't look that sharp. Obviously, our starting 11 was pretty much identical to last week's preseason game against Lens, except for Wan-Bissaka for Dalot. Obviously, Dalot made that mistake against Lens, so Wan-Bissaka took his starting spot back. And yeah, that was the starting 11. I've had doubts about that midfield the last couple of preseason games, the Mount Casemiro, Bruno, and we saw it today. Instantly, I realized that our between the line play was not evident at all. We struggled in build-up play. The ball was dominated by Luke Shaw. Leach got on the ball, Varane, Wan-Bissaka, but there was no one to pass it to other than Casemiro. And once Casemiro got on the ball, Mount and Bruno were way too high up. We were able to find spaces on the wings because Wolves kind of shut us down narrow-wise. They let the ball go out to the wings. Garnacho got a lot of the ball. Anthony got a lot of the ball. Garnacho, when he got the ball, I love the kid. I think he has a high ceiling, huge potential, but it kind of showed that he might not be ready to start Premier League games yet. And he was absolutely awful today. That was one of the worst 45 minutes you could see from a winger because every action that he did was horrible. He had good intent. Obviously, he was trying to drive out players, but nothing was coming off. He made Nelson Semedo look like FIFA Nelson Semedo, who's a lockdown defender, as opposed to real life Nelson Semedo, who is one of the worst fullbacks you'll see. So that was horrible from Garnacho. Antony, he kept the ball a little better than Garnacho. Obviously, he's more of a ball retainer, but the way to pass from him was off the whole game. So it's just a typical Antony performance. You guys know, if you guys know me, you know my thoughts on Antony. I don't really rate him. I think that was a waste of funds, but I got to stick with the guy because he's our starting right winger, and he'll probably be our starting right winger for most of the season unless Eric Ten Hag somehow miraculously changes his tune. So is what it is. Rashford for me was non-existent in that first half. As you realize throughout most of the season, Ten Hag strikers don't really see that much of the ball. They kind of just run behind the defense, kind of stretch the pitch, drag defenders away to create space for the other players on the team to create more chances. And that's what Rashford was trying to do, but he wasn't getting on the ball. Rashford prefers to be a more dominant player. If you listen to his interview with Gary Neville on the overlap, he talks about not liking playing striker as much because he's not involved in the game. And when you're a winger, you want to be involved in the game as much as possible. And Rashford's that kind of player. So he looked frustrated throughout the whole first half. Off the ball, in terms of pressing, we looked good. There were multiple instances where we kept winning the ball back. But once Wolves broke our first line of press, it was a long day. First of all, to Wolves, I want to give them props. All their players bar maybe Craig Dawson, are incredible athletes. One spin, and they were through running at our goal. Mateus Cunha put in a hell of a shift. Mateus Nunes put in a hell of a shift. Joao Gomez, who they signed from Flamengo last winter, he looked incredible. Mario Lamina looked incredible. They did a hell of a job running around the pitch. Once they got the ball, they were driving us constantly. So our midfield was all over the place. I think Mount and Bruno left Casemiro way too isolated. Honestly, Casemiro looked like he was on an island of Crete. If you guys know who Crete is, it's the biggest island in Greece. That's the island that Casemiro was left on. The gaps were so massive. There were 3-4 instances in the first half, probably more, where Wolves were throwing our goal. They just didn't have the final action. That was Wolves' problem last year, and it looks like it might be their problem again this year. So yeah, Leach got a yellow card early on for a rash tackle. Shaw got a yellow card because they were throwing the counters, and with the new rules and everything, it's probably not best to pick up a yellow in the first half because the moment that you descend to the referee in the second half and you're right on a yellow, you're getting sent off. So I think this high risk, high reward approach from Ten Hag needs to be dialed down a little bit. Obviously, last year we played one of the deepest lines. Now we're trying to play this high proactive football, but I think there needs to be more of a balance. And it looks like we don't have the players to kind of play that kind of football. So I'd rather just set up a little more pragmatically and make sure that we're solidified off the ball first before we're on the ball, even though I think we have issues on both sides, off and on the ball, which is why we need reinforcements, which is why the title of this video will be, we need at least 2 midfielders. And most importantly, we need Rookie of the Year, Kobe Manu back ASAP. I watched Kobe Manu against Arsenal live at MetLife. That was an amazing midfield performance from the kid. And I have high hopes from him. And it sucks that we're putting pressure on an 18-year-old to kind of be like this glue, the savior, but that's how good he is, and that's what we need to honestly do because he's probably our best midfielder, honestly, in terms of retaining the ball, keep things ticking. Because we all know Bruno, he's kind of fits Ten Hag's philosophy of the high risk, high reward, and that's what Bruno is. Mason Mount, honestly, I think he's much better off the ball than on the ball, but on the ball, like, I just didn't see the guy doing anything. The only thing I remember him doing on the ball is slipping when he was running down the byline, to be honest. But I just think right now there's a player issue, but I think there's also a coaching issue from Ten Hag, and he needs to kind of fix that. If you guys remember, I think was it after the Dortmund game when our starters came on in the second half, he talked about how we looked like we were lost out there. The buildup was wrong, everything was wrong. And then against Lens in the first half, it looked the same. In the second half, the thing clicked in our head. But against Wolves, it was more reminiscent of the performance against Dortmund. And Ten Hag talked about it in the post-match first. I think he talked about saying we need to be much better on the ball. And we hope that we're better on the ball against Spurs. And honestly, we better be, because Spurs are a much more dangerous side than Wolves because they have more game changers, like Heung-min Son, for example, that a Wolves doesn't have. Or I don't know if Charles is not the best striker, but he's probably a little more clinical than Mateusz Cunha. Kulusevski can do something. So we need to be much more careful when we're playing that high up against a Spurs team who will look absolutely lethal against Brentford. So that's going to be a tough match. I'll talk about more of that later in the week. But yeah, the first half, like I said, was horrible. But we were lucky for it to be 0-0. I think maybe we had a couple chances in the first half. I remember Rashford shot on target pretty much, and Garnacho a couple of mishits and everything. But yeah, horrible first half. Second half, we took Licha off. Apparently, I thought it was because of the yellow card, but apparently Licha still feeling a little bit of the pain in his Achilles tendon that he felt that he suffered the injury against Sevilla last season. I hope that's not a long-term issue, kind of just him getting back on his feet, getting used to it, the pace of the game and everything. Because obviously preseason, he looked good, but preseason pace is completely different from the season pace in the Premier League. So he probably felt a little bit. So we probably have to be a little bit more careful with him. But Lindelof came in. Lindelof proved towards the end of last season that he's not like Licha, like a great Licha replacement, but he's adequate enough. He does a job, and he came on and he looked good. I expected Garnacho to actually be hooked at halftime, but he did not. Ten Hag sent him back out. And yeah, second half, honestly, we were just as poor the first half. I'm not gonna lie. I expected a little bit more. Like, I expected to start the second half a little better, but I think Wolves started better than us. But eventually, towards the 60th minute, Wolves kind of tired down a little bit because, like I said, they ran their socks off today and they're absolutely gassed. It's the first game of the season. Not everyone's up to like match fitness wise at all. I don't know how their preseason was, to be honest, but yeah, they still ran their socks off. And we looked like we were picking up the pace a little bit better. We were creating a little bit more chances. Then Sancho came on. He kind of picked the spark. He provided a spark. Honestly, Sancho was our best attacker in preseason. So honestly, I thought he should have probably started today. But he kind of kept his preseason form up, and he looked sharp today. He looked like he wanted to create stuff. Eriksen came on from Mount. I wasn't a big fan of that substitution because our biggest problem against Wolves was they were bypassing our midfield. Eriksen, while he has great on-the-ball qualities, I think he's a traffic cone out of possession. And even we kind of saw it, but he did a couple of nice stuff. And then the goal, I don't remember exactly what minute it came in. I'm gonna assume like late 70s. Bruno started playing a little deeper once it got to like 75th minute, because when we're looking for like a goal, Bruno always tends to drop a little deeper to kind of play make from deep. That's exactly what he did. He played a nice little clip ball over the top to Wan-Bissaka, who played a nice little clip ball cross over the top to Varane, who headed it home. Great to see Varane on the score sheet. Honestly, our defenders don't score at all. We're like kind of the complete polar opposite of Chelsea, who every time they score a goal, it's like from their defenders. We don't do that, so it's nice to see Varane on the score sheet. Good header, good play. Nice to see Wan-Bissaka kind of contribute offensively. That's probably everyone's biggest criticism of him. I'm still not his biggest fan. I still think while we also need midfielders, I think right back is a huge priority, but something that will obviously get addressed next summer because our funds need to go somewhere else. But we're also linked with Benjamin Pavard. who's meant to come in and be like a third choice center back, but will also probably fight for the right back spot because he could play both. So we'll see what happens with that. If you guys ask me my opinions on Pavard, hell no, don't want him at all. I'd much rather sign to Debo, but at the end of the day, it's Ten Hag's call, not my call. So what does it matter? And yeah, it's a good goal. And after that, kind of typical how we played last year. Once we would go up late in the game, we'd kind of just sit back in our shell and defend. And Wolves absolutely dragged us throughout that whole pitch. And they probably came a couple close instances. They should have had a pen. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. And yeah, they kept putting crosses into the box. They brought in Sacha Kalajic, who's like 6'7" against Lindelof. I'm not gonna lie, I was really scared because Lindelof's not the greatest in the air, and this guy is as tall as LeBron James. So you can kind of see why their concern was there, but their crosses were horrible. They kept getting met in the air by Luke Shaw, Lindelof, and Ron. They did a really good job clearing them. We didn't do a good job clearing our lines though because they kept getting that ball back. We also had a couple nice counters. Rashford, I think, won the aerial duel against Kilman. He was kind of through on goal, but Kilman did a great job of recovering the ball back. Like I said, I keep saying Wolves, bro, they all look so rapid on that pitch. Like, except Craig Dawson, obviously you guys know Craig Dawson is slow, but Kilman looked fast. Semedo was fast. Their midfielders were fast. Matheus Cunha was like tracking back like a monster. He was tracking back like Firmino. It was incredible. Neto's fast. Juan Chan when he came on is fast. Bueno's fast. They're just a ridiculous group of athletes. And Man United's biggest problem right now, honestly, as much as on the ball, athletically, we're shocking. And there's a reason why Ten Hag wants Amadou Onana from Everton, who's a fantastic athlete as a footballer, because we look shocking physically today. And Ten Hag, if you guys remember that Brentford game last year, we got slapped 4-0. I think that's what clicked in Ten Hag's mind. He's like, yo, maybe this little tiki-taka, nice possession football don't work for me. I want athletes. And we saw with Højlund coming in, who's a fantastic athlete, rapid, quick, tall, physical. Rashford, the tall, quick, physical player. Not physical, but he's quick, tall. And yeah, so they kept putting it in, but we kept a clean sheet. But obviously that penalty incident, the non-pen incident, as you say, Onana, who I'll talk about soon as well, kind of went to go claim the ball, catch it, but he completely misread the situation. And instead of catching the ball, he absolutely clobbered, I think it was Kalajic, as the Wolves manager said, Gary O'Neill, absolutely clobbered him in the head. We've seen those get called and not called. It's kind of like a 50-50 split. The most recent one I can remember is the Messi one against Poland in the World Cup where Szczesny clobbered. I don't know if it was actually Messi he clobbered, but he clobbered someone in Argentina. And Argentina got the pen. Messi missed it. But still, I also remember, I think Hugo Lloris against Portugal in the Euros had a similar instance. Ronaldo scored that penalty. So it's a 50-50 call. Some of them don't get called. Some of them do get called. This one did not happen to get called. Apparently, after the game, though, PGMOL, the referee body of the FA or something like that, told Gary O'Neill that it was meant to be a penalty. That's their mistake. But we all know refs aren't consistent in England. They're not consistent anywhere. So is what it is. Obviously, people are going to claim Man United, Barchester United, stuff like that. Maybe Howard would put the call in. I don't care. The game's a game. Don't hit the player, hit the game. That's what happened. So, yeah, is what it is. Probably Wolves did deserve to get a draw in this game. We did not deserve to win. At best, we deserve to draw. We probably deserve to lose. But, hey, man, 3 points is 3 points. In terms of player ratings, I'll start with Onana. He gets a 9 for me today. On the ball, obviously that's what we all expect. We are all expecting greatness from Onana on the ball. He's a sweeper keeper. He's great on the ball. He's probably one of the best goalkeepers in the world on the ball. But we didn't really see that from him today. But we did see his proactiveness. Obviously he misread the situation on that cross, but there was like a cross, I think like a minute later, where it was kind of like a low cross, and he kind of had to dive in between two players, and he caught it with his right onto his chest. That's fantastic goalkeeping. He had another couple high claims. I'm very impressed with him. I think he's our best signing this summer. He was our most important signing this summer because we needed to upgrade that goalkeeper position from David De Gea. That's what we did. So he was fantastic today. Wan-Bissaka gets a 7 from me. I know a lot of people say might give him man of the match. Obviously the assist was great, and I'm happy for that. I'm still concerned about him on the ball, his positioning, like his discipline and stuff like that. He takes way too many touches, but today he was really good. He was much better than most of our other players in terms of consistency throughout the game. So I'm not going to fault him from that. And he did get the match winner assist. So fair enough, 7. Varane gets a 7 from me as well. Match winner, got the goal. Defensively, I think there were a couple of situations where he misread him. Obviously, it's not easy defending when in 1v1 throughout the whole game. It's just kind of what we felt like we were defending for about 70 minutes when when Wolves were constantly through on goal. So he did a good job for the most part. He was colossal in the air again, but you expect that from Rafa Varane. This guy's one of the best box defenders in the world still. And obviously, if you guys know me on Twitter, I've said that eventually we do need to replace him. It might even have to come this year, but it won't come this year. I think he's guaranteed our starting center back, which I'm fine with at the end of the day. I just think I think his replacement needs to come. It won't happen this transfer window unless we sign to a Debo. But next window, next summer, I expect us to get his long-term replacement. And it's not even just because of his quality. He's very injury prone. He can't play that many. He can't play 2 games a week every single week. Some weeks he'll play twice a week, but other times he'll have to take that second game off. So I want his backup to be as high quality as him. That's what we should demand at Man United, because Man City have 8 center backs or something like that, and all of them are pretty much almost as good as the other ones. And that's what I want at Man United. So I don't want that drastic drop off from Moran to like a Lindelof, which I think there's a drop off. Moran to Maguire, if he stays, I think there's a massive drop off. I want a backup that's maybe not as good as Moran, but the drop off isn't as drastic. Licha, I give him a 6. He probably could have gotten sent off. He almost did get sent off because after he got the first yellow, there was an instance where Cunha was running on goal and Licha almost grabbed him, but he had to hesitate because he was on the yellow. He was a little rash today, so I'll give him a 6. Still decent on the quality on the ball, but we expect that from Lisandro Martinez. And like I said earlier, I hope the ankle isn't a problem. Luke Shaw, for me, gets a 7. Much better in the second half than the first half. Second half, he looked immense in duels. Recovered the ball well. He was aggressive every single time. Like it looked like he had the opening to kind of put in a foot in there. He did, and he won the ball back well. So good game from Luke Shaw. Midfield, Casemiro. I'm gonna give him a 5. I would give lower, but I feel bad for him. On the ball, this guy's just not it for me. On the ball, just drastic chat, bro. My 6 for me, ideally, unless your name is Xabi Alonso, unless your name is Sergio Busquets, unless your name is Redondo, the old one and the new one, his son, I don't want you playing 15 pings the whole game, bro. Just recycle the ball and keep it ticking. That's what we need. We lack, and that's why we need to sign Amrabat. Casemiro was launching the ball, weak foot crosses from outside the area. Don't know why you're doing that. Don't know why every time he gets the ball, he pings it over the top. I just want a little bit. He's not press resistant, and we need to get midfielders as close to him as possible for him to keep it ticking. Otherwise, if your midfielders are further higher up the pitch, he's going to try to find them, and he'll do a poor job of it because he'll lose the ball. So that's on Ten Hag to fix that. Off the ball, I'm not going to – he was actually really good off the ball, in my opinion, most of the times. Obviously, his dual winning numbers were not that good because he kept slide tackling, but there are other instances where there were cutbacks available for Wolves, and he read the cutback well. His defensive IQ is still very high. There's a reason why he's been one of the best defensive midfielders the past decade, and he did a good job of reading those. So props to him for that. But he was left on the island, and I'm not going to give him as much blame as maybe other people will. But I do think a 6 is a very, very important priority right now, and we need to get a DM as soon as possible. And even if Casemiro is consistently the starter, I'm not a problem with that. This guy's legs look like pulled pork by the end of the game. He was gassed out. And we have a lot of games to play this season, and he cannot be the only DM on this team. And Scott McTominay cannot be his backup. We need a high-quality backup or someone that can probably compete with Casemiro, even play next to Casemiro, to do the running for him because he was gassed out. And he cannot – this is not 2017, 2018, 2019 Casemiro. His legs are getting more and more tired. The pace is much quicker than La Liga. And he had a lot of ground to cover for Real Madrid. Don't question that. For Modric, Cruz, Real Madrid played a very open system in terms of defending a lot of 1v1 situations where he had to cover a lot of ground. It's the same thing here. And Old Trafford is a massive pitch. It's not a small pitch. It's not Stamford Bridge, for example. This is a lot of ground to cover at Old Trafford, and he's going to have a lot to cover. And if we're going to play this continuous high-risk, high-reward football, this guy's legs will be gone by Thanksgiving Day. So we need someone. Bruno and Mount both get 3s. I probably should get them lower, but they were both abysmal today. I know Bruno played a nice pass to Wan-Bissaka, but he was tragic today. I think Mount was tragic. If TalkSport put up the tweet, it was full 0s. I've been trying to be obviously, I'm known as Mr. Negativity on Twitter is what it is. But I've been trying to be positive with this Mount signing. I'm trying to back Ten Hag on it, but I tweeted it, I think after the Madrid game. It might have been after the Dortmund game. Casemiro and Mount Bruno will not work unless Ten Hag perfectly creates a system for it, which he has not done yet. And it just looked completely out of disproportionate. Everything looked wrong about it. So, yeah, they both get threes from. They were both abysmal. Miles should probably get lower, to be honest, but it's what it is. First game of the season. Try to be nice. Garnacho gets a 2. I love the kid. It's clear he's an impact player off the bench against tired legs. He was not on it today. I think Ten Hag will probably keep him out the starting lineup next week against Spurs. He'll probably bring in Sancho, maybe false 9, Rashford off the left. I don't know, maybe Sancho on the left. Rashford on the 9. Højlund's not back yet, so we'll have to wait for that. But yeah, that's just abysmal. Rashford gets a 6 for me. When he did get the ball, he looked bright, but it wasn't as much as we wanted. A couple instances when he got on the left, he looked more threatening, but sometimes he would try just a little bit too much. Instead of releasing the ball, he took the extra touch. Is what it is. Had my fantasy team, so I was kind of hoping for a brace today, but yeah, I'm not that worried about Rashford. There are some concerns I saw on the timeline from his off the ball issues. I've been quoted for saying I don't think that he tracks back as much as he should, but it's a coaching instruction right now. It looks like otherwise I would be more upset with him. So Rashford's off the ball, non-tracking back is a bigger issue for another day. That's the least of my worries right now. Anthony, 5. He was better than Garnacho, in my opinion, but just the weight of pass is not there. That final action, like he got the ball in a lot of space, but this guy doesn't know how to attack space. And for me, that's probably one of the first things you should know as a winger. And we're going to be playing this high transitioning counter-attacking system. There's going to be a lot of space available, and you're going to have to find wingers that know how to attack it. And he's not a 1v1 demon because he doesn't really get past his fullback like that. He'll always cut in. The opening is not there. He'll pass it back, repeat. So, I'd rather have a Doku who's probably gonna go Man City. That guy's the best 1v1 dribbler in the world. Put that guy in right there. Let's see how much he'll cook. So it's just a signing that I just don't think will work. But give it time. I think one of my boys tweeted like, "What should our expectations be of Anthony this season?" Like for me, he should be getting a double-double in all comps. Well, it should be in the league to be honest. But double-double all comps. We'll see if he hits that. He didn't really attempt a shot today, so maybe that's a little progress. But yeah, off the bench, Lindelof, I'll give him like a 6. Thought he was okay, decent, good 45 minutes. Sancho gets a 7. I thought he was a little bit more bright. A couple instances where like the pass was a little off, but he looked sharp. There was a moment where I think he bodied someone, so that looks good at least. On the ball, final action. Once he got the ball in the final third, he looked like he knew what he wanted to do, which is always nice to see from your final third players. So it was a good cameo from Sancho. I think he got like 35 minutes out there. Eriksen, probably 5, 6. It was okay. Nothing special. I honestly, I'd rather see Hannibal get those minutes, but is what it is. We need some more dog in that midfield, man. So Mason Mount's supposed to provide that, but then doesn't look like he's providing that. So did anyone else come on? Tomlin came off like 10 minutes. Nice block though. He had that one instance where he made a nice like sliding block, and then the fan came in. Shout out to the fan, by the way. Fight for the badge right there. Really some pressure from us, but yeah, that was okay. Manager Ten Hag at the 4. It should be way lower, but this system for me is not working. Obviously, I don't think we're a top 5 team in the league. To address that in a sense, if we make the right signings the last couple weeks of the window, if we get an Amrabat in, maybe another midfielder, hopefully another forward, to be honest. I want that midfielder in. I want Amrabat in specifically. No offense to Amadou Onana. He might end up having a good career, but Amrabat is needed in the scene because he's one of the best midfielders in Europe last season in terms of retaining the ball, and we need that as soon as possible, in my opinion. He needs to come in ASAP, and he might compete with Casemiro. He might play next to Casemiro. I don't know. I don't care what he does, but he is needed in this team right now, in my opinion. Other signing, if we sign a center back, that'd be nice. If we sign a right back, that'd be nice. If we sign another forward, that'd be nice. But we need to make 2 signings minimum, 2 midfielders maybe, and then Hannibal goes on loan. Or it doesn't even have to be like in terms of doesn't have to be a signing to fix our like to kind of not really salvage our season. The season just started, but just to kind of make us prepare for the season. Give Hannibal more minutes. When Kobe comes back, give him the minutes that I think he deserves because I promise you this guy's better than Mason Mount. I'm not even joking about that. I think he's better. Just make sure that you do that and just fix the system, bro, because I think it's tactical on why Mount and Bruno are that high up. Because when I was watching against Arsenal, it didn't look like when mine was the DM, it didn't look that they were as high up. Maybe because he has more confidence in Casemiro's like ball winning abilities that he leaves him more on an island. But he also did the same thing at Ajax, bro. His defenders were always on an island. But if we need to find more players between the lines, because Casemiro for me at the base of midfield, him making those passes is not it. So we need to fix that. Otherwise, if we don't fix that, if we don't sign on the midfielder somehow, some way in this window, it's gonna be a long season because Newcastle were amazing against Villa. Chelsea for me looked amazing, and they just added Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia, two midfielders that would automatically start in our midfield. They have three midfielders that would all start in our midfield, in my opinion. They have a top three midfielder in the league now. Obviously their forward situation is more dire than ours, but yeah, I think we need a couple more signings. I just think Ten Hag needs to make some tactical adjustments, but we did get the 3 points at the end of the day, and that's all that matters. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this match review. Make sure you guys leave a like, share, subscribe at the end after you finish watching this, or at the beginning, whichever one you guys want. And yeah, I'm happy to be back on YouTube. I kind of, like I said, didn't have the motivation, but I do a new season. Got to actually get on this grind and not waffle about it. Just got to actually do it. And then, yeah, in terms of what I got coming up, I think Thursday, I'm doing a Serie A preview. See you guys back next week. I'm getting one of the big Serie A people on Twitter, but one of the most passionate fans you'll meet, not just about Milan, just in football in general. The guy's very passionate. And obviously we play Spurs on the weekend, so match review, match reaction after that game. And yeah, we'll go along with that. I'll try to figure out a schedule because obviously I'm working the US Open and I got a holiday coming up, so we'll see what happens with that. And then Thursdays as well, before I go record with Badir, catch me on Saeed TV, America Talks, 5 p.m. 5 p.m. US time, 10 p.m. UK time for honestly one of my favorite people to record with. Big up Saeed, big up Temi, big up Staffy, big up CK, big up Omar. Those are the boys. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to talk about this game. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe and all of that. And that's it. Peace.